I just had to take a break to charge the mic and go pick up some stuff. So now we're back. Let's do some final cleanup. Hose this girl down. Let's get you guys over here. Gotta clean this lower bay area over here. There you go. I know it's a little dark, but bear with me. So, you know how the oil pump is right here? Essentially, when it's a shaft-driven oil pump, essentially like this is the timing gear plate I'll show you installed. So the slot goes in there, and there's a hex bit right into the oil pump that you just line up and feed into. And it should just sit perfectly in there. And this guy slides right on there. Show you guys how. Just give it a little wipe down, and that is where the O-ring is. Zooming in for you guys. Yeah, but that's where the O-ring is. I did put some RTV there, and then the silicone, and then the O-ring. Essentially goes right here, feeds oil through this port to keep the shaft lubricated. So essentially, it goes like this, right there. Lines up with the 3 dowels, 1, 2, 3, and then you take your 3 screws, which is your Torx bits. You just slap them on your gun. Slowly put it in. There we go. That's the shaft-driven gear pump right there. As you can see, it spins the keyway, sucks up the pump, which then is driven by this gear right here, which then has a spring inside of it. So essentially, it goes like this. Essentially, what you want to do is first catch the first couple threads, there's like 2 threads, and pull back on this. That way it pulls that shaft out a bit, and then you can line the gear up. It's a slotted gear, so it only lines up one way, and then you can tighten it. You need to tighten it all the way, because just keep it loose, or just enough so when we put it back we can take it off. And there we go. That's your oil pump gear. There we go. Let's do oil pump section. So that's all good, and then we can move on towards timing. We gotta pull this hex drawer right out of here, because that's where the special tool goes in to line up the dowel for the timing. Okay, as you can see, it's got like a dowel pin on it and everything, I guess. So we need to find where that tool fully fits, like flush right in there. You'll see it on the crank is when I'll set it off. I will show you guys. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, I was just doing some nonsense with this, so it was just irritating me. So essentially these 2 gears right here, they're just floating gears, meaning they just transfer the, not load, but the gear turning ratio from the chains. These do not have to be in time. They're not really specifically doing anything. They're just basically a giant gear with a washer, a thrust bearing. It basically spins from the head down to here, down to the gear. So that's all that is. This one is specifically just 3 bolts going to this on the left side of the bank, and the right side bank is just 1 straight bolt with 2 dowels. There is a shim plate there, don't forget that. I was having a cunt of a time trying to line it up. That's why I just had to cut the camera and, you know, take it out right then and there. So yeah, so I essentially put the first chain on for the gear set right here, just because it was going to be a cunt to put back on after. The second one should be fine, but yeah, and let's continue on with the tensioners. If I could get any of these tensioners open. Leave this tensioner right here. I can't remember where this one goes. I know one tensioner goes somewhere. Oh, right up there. Yeah. This guy goes right up there. This guy goes up like that. Alright, so right there. I'm not going to tighten anything yet. We're going to torque everything at last when we get everything in place and then set. And then this guy is going to have his own tensioner right here. Remember, when putting these in, they only go one way because, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, the depth of these are in certain positions, certain depths. And this one already has a groove in it, so it has to go in a certain way. So, example, it would go in like that. That way, it sits in this little groove. You can catch the bolt if it wants to catch. There we go. You can catch another one. There we go. You can't put it the other way around, because if you put it the other way around, this would push too far out and the chain would start hitting the block. So there's no possible way you could mess it up. I mean, who knows? You could. And then there's this specific tensioner right here. It has an O-ring that needs to go here, or else if it loses oil pressure, then your oil actuated tensioners will not work. So make sure you put the chains in. I mean, not chains, the O-rings in. The O-ring. This is what it looks like. It's just this round rectangle O-ring. Just pushes right in. That's how it goes in. And this one goes in right there. That same spot. Right there. The O-ring's nice and seated. There you go. That's it. That should spin. Technically, if I remove this, that should spin freely. Oh wait, it can't because it's connected to the engine. Ah! Sorry, that was very bad. Okay. The next one would be, going to the balance shaft, which is this guy right here. Going from here to here. Oh, sorry. All right, basically, I'm an idiot. So, all night when I was trying to struggle to get that in time and whatnot, you know, I also noticed the fact that this was supposed to be going smoothly. It's supposed to install smooth. That way when you release the tension, it picks up tension. It shouldn't be tight without any tension. I was just like so confused. Then I found out what I did wrong, like an idiot. When I was turning the engine over, I tightened these to their max till they were hitting the gear. So that chain that wraps around the bottom right here was hitting the bolt and not riding the gear, causing all that pull towards it. And then, you know how they say, you go to sleep, wake up with a fresh mind. That's exactly what I did. Came out this morning, literally backed this off, and the chain plopped right in its perfect spot. Sometimes you need a break. But yeah, so now we can put the tensioner on that side. Finally, take my tensioner. Now it should go in as smooth as possible. There we go. Look at that. When you use your brain. Jesus Christ, fuck my life. Alright, found this random spike thing because it holds it nice and flush. Alright, that's all in. Okay, these guys. Alright, those are all tight. We're gonna set that cam gear and the phaser in now. Alright, to give you a quick breakdown. So, I also need a marker. The phasers are essentially timed in a way, that was a weird noise, in a way, there's only one timing mark, which is this slot right here. That slot, that is your timing mark on these. So just make sure you can mark it with something so that way you have a better view, because when the chain and everything's there, everything gets in the way. Let's just mark that. And then same thing with the other side. Mark that. That's your view. Just like that. Just give it a little mark down. That's it. And then on the drive sprocket itself, it's a little hard to see, but there's only one little dot. That guy right there, that is your timing gear dot. We're just gonna put a mark right there. And then you can see the dot as well. Same thing over here. On the head itself, there's no specific timing set area, but there is. I will show you guys. There is these slots. Slot 1 right here, and then slot 2 is over here. Right here. So these slots are in phase with both the phaser and the gear. So what you have to do is just line up the timing mark between each gear, between those spaces, in between those spaces, anywhere in between. But you know, try to keep it, you know, nice PG, and we'll just keep it right in the dead center. That's where we want it. Same thing with the other side. Now, you're gonna take your bolt, slide it, you're gonna line it up with your cam mark, which is right about which is right about, we're gonna turn it a bit more, so right there, give or take. Let's go a bit more. Ooh, there we go. Right there, we'll say is even. Okay, and then we're gonna grab a cram sprocket and get some paper here. Just wipe it down. This is filled with some brake clean. And line it up with the mark, which is right around, we'll say right there. No, maybe. Oh yeah, okay there. Nope, too much. Nope, well, not too much. Say right there. It does free play this, so it can spin. So you do, when you torque it, you do have to hold it down in place. So we just tighten this down for now. Just make sure this stays in place. Real tight, and this also. Make sure it stays in place. Go like right there. Okay. Alright, so now we gotta tighten these cam bolts. It's 80 Newton meters and then 90 degrees. Which, if I do, is gonna hurt me, but we're gonna have to do it. First, we'll torque them down to 80 Newton meters, and then we'll get the hold down tool. Okay, we're gonna have to figure out a way to hold this down then. I guess the C-clamp it is. There. Just push down on your tool and push down on your torque wrench. And that should have stayed there. Pull the tool out. And it should still stay in time, which it is. And what you want to do is pull up. Bring your guys closer. Pull up on the C-clamp and push down on the torque wrench. There we go, 80 Newton meters. And that should have stayed in its place, which it did, so that's good. We still got to do a 90-degree turn. Well, this one, I don't like the weight sitting, so we're gonna have to, let me try readjusting that. Right. All right, this one's 30 Newton meters and 90 degrees, which will hit up. 30 Newton meters and then 90 degrees. Okay, it's tight. And then these 3 torques are just 5 Newton meters and then 90 degrees. Let's just make sure they're all tight. And that is the whole timing set done. The last thing we have to do is just spin this engine over and make sure everything actually turns. But yeah. Come on. Give it a little smack. Grab a couple of the bolts. Give them a little start. There. In all trustingness that this thing starts, we can start putting back together back in. Ugh. In all trustingness of doing this, of hopefully that it doesn't fucking blow up. Doesn't seem like well. Like when starting it, we will use cheap oil, a cheap coolant. Once it's up and running, then we'll throw in the good stuff. I'm probably gonna give this another paint job once I'm all done. Right now, as it is still a little crusty. But once we get it back up, and then we'll lift it up and put the pan and all that crap on, we'll set it on a bench. That way we can maneuver it and work on it.
Models popping bottles.